On behalf of Turkey's leading logistics and automotive AYSBERG Media Group, I warmly welcome you to the next round of Tea&Talk. My name is Stefan Iskan'ın. I am a professor of supply chain management and e-business at the University of Applied Sciences Ludwigshafen am Rhein in Germany. I'm the academic advisor of the AYSBERG Media Group. Next to me sitting, and I warmly welcome also Mr. Turgut Erkeskin. Mr. Turgut Bey is president of the Turkish Logistics and Freight Forwarding Association, UTİKAD.
Yes.
Turgut Bey, welcome and hoş geldiniz.
Stefan Bey, you are most welcome. You are also welcome to our Turkey.
Teşekkürler.
And I'm very glad to have you in here in this interview. Thank you.
Turgut Bey, a tough and exhausting political and economical year is behind you and UTİKAD.
Very tough year.
How is currently the mood in the Turkish logistics industry?
Well, we all know that this year was really a tough year, that we had two elections. The first elections took place on the 7th of June. That suggests that we have seen 3 months of preparation for the elections. That was kind of silent for the industry and logistics as well. Then we had to try for a coalition government, but the attempts were failed, so the country had to go for another election. So that took place on the 1st of November. Now we have a majority in the parliament, and we are expecting in these days the new government. And this will remove the shadow in the economy, and the wheels will start turning. The factories will go in full speed, and then logistics industry will definitely be affected in a positive way with these changes. And as a logistics industry, we have great expectations from the new government, because our country was under transformation from transport to logistics, and that transformation needs lots of investments, both in infrastructure as well as the legal environment.
And trust in the political landscape?
We need definitely, logistics like very much a stable country, yes, politically and economically. Unless you have this stability, you cannot develop. But the first thing that we are expecting from our government and from the Ministry of Transport is to prepare and announce the logistics master plan of Turkey, because the private sector is expecting this to shape their investments, to see the future of the countries, to see the areas that are open for development. So this is going to be a guiding document for all of us, both for the private industry and as well for the government as well. So the first expectation is the logistics master plan, and then those investments which are still going on should be completed, new investments should come, and then the legal environment covering all those should be in such a way that will help and boost the economy as well as logistics.
Turgut Bey, you mentioned the master plan.
Right.
In 2013, we both together conducted a study about the Turkish logistics market, yes, and the market sizes especially. Based on that findings, Turkey is assumed to be a logistics hub with a total volume of about 39 billion euros a year. Compared to Germany, Germany has about 220 up to 240 billion euros logistics sales. How capable is the Turkish logistics industry?
Well, first of all, I have to thank you again for that excellent study that we have conducted together.
Teşekkürler.
And that is really a guiding book to understand what it is, the logistics industry in Turkey, and what size and what potential it has for the future. It is obviously very important to take Germany as a comparison point, because Germany is still, I believe, the #1 in logistics performance index of the World Bank. So it brings together with some criteria that if you compare your system with German system, then you can make some sort of
kind of benchmarking.
From that point of view, we have some positive signs and negative signs. Positive sign is that the German foreign trade is kind of maybe 8 times bigger than the Turkish foreign trade. I think we can say that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the Turkish logistics industry's volume is only 1/5 of the German logistics industry. That means we are, by numbers, we are still doing good.
And by numbers,
it's not bad. I mean,
it's
because,
the eighth biggest logistics market in Europe.
Indeed. Now, Germany, foreign trade is 8 times bigger than Turkey, but logistics industry is only 5 times bigger than Turkey. That means the gap is not that much. However, the shape of the logistics are different. In Germany, we see more diversified, industry-based logistics solutions. Assembling. This is very important. It is not yet that much seen in our logistics industry in Turkey that we are not that much integrated with the industrial companies.
What might be the reasons? It's a kind of low degree of outsourcing.
There are many reasons. I mean, relatively, logistics is new in Turkey. Still, we are discussing how we are going to make a transition from transport to logistics. Therefore, these concepts are new. Our companies, in exhibitions like this, should understand what logistics companies can do. So they have to adapt those new way of doing business, new technologies, and as well, we have to give a sign to industrial companies that Turkish logistics companies are able to take over some of their workload to their companies, even in their facilities.
Production-related operations.
So we see very good examples in Germany, in automotive factories. I have a statistics, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that in one of the car manufacturers' factory, 60% of the assembly line is managed by a logistics company.
Maybe it's depending on the definition what is managed, but in many cases they are not directly part of the assembly line, but they are doing line feeding operations.
Perfect. So we have to take these good examples. We have a very important developing giant automotive industry. We have to see what sort of reflections we can have in Turkey for that. So this is actually I think the main comparison between Germany and Turkey. We shouldn't just compare the sizes, numbers, but we have to compare what sort of different services, different solutions are available in German logistics industry that can be copied or influenced or transferred into our sector.
We were talking right now about benchmarking between Germany and Turkey.
You know why we have to benchmark Germany and Turkey? Because these two countries are very similar to each other. Germany is kind of the industrial engine of Europe. Many countries around Germany and Europe are fed by the German economy. Likewise, in Turkey, Turkey is the industrialized nation of the Middle East and Caucasia, even Southeast Europe. So we have kind of similar characteristics. Germany is a big country as a land. Turkey is a big country as a land. So within country, distribution and logistics services are important. As well, Germany is a transit country. Turkey is a transit country as well. So characteristics are kind of same.
Around Turkey, there are still growth markets.
A lot.
In Germany, I would doubt it.
That makes this country very much important from production point of view and logistics point of view. So we can name it as a hub for the region. Likewise, Germany is a hub for its region, but growth potential in our region.
It's not
if we put aside all these political problems in our neighbor countries and so on, potential is even greater. So expectations are bigger in here. So therefore, this comparison good. Sorry, I just interrupted you, but you can go.
We were talking about industrialization already and Germans' industrial potential and engineering capabilities. Germany as an economy is described as an export world champion and a kind of engineering and production economy. Turkey, compared to that, has a negative trade balance. You have a lot of import flows versus exports. What can Turkey learn from Germany if it also wants to become a pure, defined industry nation?
Well,
For example,
right.
we see less equipments produced and engineered in Turkey.
Well, I can tell that industrialization is in a very good stage in Turkey. We are exporting, for instance, if we look into machinery production industry in Turkey, that we are exporting 11%. If we compare with our overall export to Europe, 11% are the products, machinery products that are produced in Turkey. We are very strong in automotive, we are very strong in defense industries, we are very strong in, for instance, white household goods and etc. These are purely Turkish production. We cannot just say that Turkey is very much dependent on the import for the industrialization, sophisticated product, but still, there is a long way to go, because when we compare our imports and exports, we are kind of 60% importing, 40% exporting, and that creates a deficit in our foreign trade. We had, before 1980, a very protective environment in Turkey that import was really difficult to make. We were trying, by the support of the governmental organizations, the production, and that was kind of a bottleneck for us, that the industrialization was not achieved. Since 1980s, Turkey opened their doors, and we start importing technology and the products. However, this caused kind of a dependency to foreign products. And then globalization came, the trade was even much free, we were able to import everything, although they were produced in Turkey. But again, now we have to change the structure a little bit, and government has taken a very strong initiative to kind of little bit protect our industry, to even encourage people to produce in Turkey, so that we can close that gap and we can bring industrialization in a much better level and scale in our country. So expectations in that perspective is good, but it is period that we should definitely be able to reach to a balance in a short time, and then we look for some surplus on our export compared to imports.
Turgut Bey, you mentioned globalization. There is one interesting development in the Turkish industry which most of the professionals outside of Turkey do not have on their radar. For example, I see a lot of Turkish companies that are more and more outsourcing simple production manufacturing activities into the European Union, for example, to Bulgaria or to Romania. How do you evaluate that kind of development?
This is actually a very healthy situation. We need to increase the value of our production per kilo in order to overcome that deficit issue. And now our entrepreneurs has discovered that they are also able to invest abroad. They go for cheap production, however quality production, whenever and wherever it is possible. So we have a trend in the world that production is always looking for better economies, better cost environments, so that they can minimize the cost of production, but still they are in the good performing supply chain environment. Turkey is now taking that direction as well. Now we are trying to be close to the markets that we are exporting. When we produce in there, we have scale of economies, we have advantageous cost structures, but at the same time we are also close to the market. We should keep in mind that the world is again changing. We have a new strategy or new approach called near sourcing. Near sourcing probably will drive the future of our industry, that we have to be close to the economies. Now, Turkish factories are being in, for instance, like Bulgaria and Romania. They are from one hand, taking the advantages of that location. On the other hand, they are bypassing those some sort of restrictions that Turkish transport sector is facing. So if I have a production in Bulgaria and Romania, then I don't have any truck circulation problem to reach to Germany, whereas I have that problem today when I depart from Turkey to Germany. So this is also another situation. But still, this is very healthy because now that we are shifting this sort of economy to those countries, we can go into more value generating productions or industries. So as a result of this, we can increase per kilo value of what we are producing, and at the end of the day, this will bring the balance to our foreign trade.
We talked about Bulgaria and Romania, about the visa issues, for example. Bulgaria and Romania are also linked to the so-called Balkan route. And nowadays, the Balkan route is in each newspaper every day, in the television, in the news, because of the refugee crisis.
Yes.
Can you quantify the damages for the Turkish logistics industry because of border controls, X-ray controls in Kapıkules, Vilengrad? Can you quantify the damage for the Turkish logistics industry?
We have to look into this subject from probably a broader perspective, that it is not only a refugee problem, it is an overall problem of the free circulation of the services between Turkey and European Union. Traditionally, the Balkan route is one of the main routes that we are reaching to European Union, and especially the heart of European Union, that is Germany.
By truck or rail?
By truck or by rail. We have now alternative routes, but alternative routes has kind of become main routes now, that we are using this intermodal systems
vessels.
by ro-ro ships. We are reaching to South European ports like Trieste, Toulouse, and so on and so forth. And there we have either rail connections or, again, truck connections. But we should never turn our back to Balkan route. Balkan route is very important. But there we have certain problems. First of all, visa issue. I have also visa issue, that whenever I wish to travel to European Union, I should get a visa. But at the same time, our drivers need visa as well, and the visas that they are given are restricted visas.
By each country?
For each country, I mean, it's not each country actually. You can go for a Schengen visa probably, but the time is limited, the duration is limited. Therefore, it is a burden for our drivers. At the same time, we have quotas for our trucks. Look at this. I mean, from one part, there is an agreement between Turkey and European Union for the free circulation of the goods. That means that we can send Turkish products into European Union without any tax payment. They are just subject to VAT. But on the other side, because of these restrictions for our trucks and transport equipments, we cannot send them freely. So, free circulation, no free circulation. How are we going to combine this? And the damage that is bringing to both European economies and Turkish economies is enormous. We have very recent numbers that there is a study conducted by European Commission. The result is that these restrictions are causing loss of 3.5 billion euro of trade between Turkey and European Union. 1.9 billion euro is for exports, the rest is for the imports. Who doesn't want to have that much of trade happening between our countries? 3.5 billion. You cannot turn your back. Today, everybody is talking about facilitation of the trade, and by means of probably logistics, everybody is looking for increase of trade. World Bank is working for this, World Trade Organization is working for this, governments are working for that. But at the end of the day, with just simple new regulation, we can bring additional 3.5 billion euro of business. And that simple thing is very simple. Rather than having between Turkey and each and every country in Europe this bilateral agreement, we need a multilateral agreement between Turkey and European Union, one agreement that covers all the Union. We have that much of quota in Bulgaria. We have more quotas in Germany. But because of the restrictions in Bulgaria, we cannot go to Germany. And the quotas we got from Germany doesn't
worthless.
Worthless. If I have one quota in Bulgaria, 5 quota in Germany, that means in Germany as well I have 1 quota.
Yeah.
That 4 quota is just
on the paper.
So the damage is great, but the potential is similarly very high that we have to make use of it.
Thank you so far. Turkey is many oftentimes called so-called to be a Eurasian logistics hub. From my perspective, a logistics hub is connected to infrastructure.
Very much.
And infrastructural projects are many times very strongly criticized from politicians outside of Turkey. How do you evaluate and see the current and heavy investments into the infrastructure in the Turkish logistics market?
The foreign politicians are criticizing this as a jealousy, or as why is it that they are criticizing? Turkey is a large country.
When we compare it to the construction times, maybe in this case Turkey is benchmarking then, huh?
I think it has to be the case. Because look in our country, it's a big country, big landmass, and we have connections in the region. As we have discussed, we have a developing region, and unless we have good functioning, large infrastructure, we cannot perform what we are aiming to perform. If we have a look at those giant projects that are going in Turkey, take for instance the new bridge in Istanbul on the Bosphorus,
Yes.
the third bridge.
Third one.
You are very friendly to our city, you are visiting a lot. You see the traffic jam.
It's a nightmare.
It's nightmare. And the transfer between European part of the city and the Asian part of the city is always cumbersome. Big problem. And that is also affecting logistics. If you go drive after 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you see lots of trucks at the roads that they are waiting to come back to circulation
To pass
10
the
o'clock in
bridge.
the evening to pass the bridge. So that
Also, for
congestion,
example, with dangerous goods, for example.
dangerous goods, for instance, very important. And even that congestion suggests us that we need this bridge. So the government took the initiative. They are building the bridge. Is this something unnecessary? Very much necessary. We have very important connection under the Bosphorus, so-called Marmaray. Marmaray suggests a rail connection that is now functioning. Both sides of the city are linked by rail systems. People can easily transfer from one side to the other side.
Especially for public transport.
Very important. Don't we need it? We need it. Even we need cargo movement over Marmaray or rail connections. All right, now look at the third airport in Istanbul. You are traveling from Atatürk Airport or Sabiha Gökçen Airport, congested, very large. And we are one of the fastest growing airline in Turkey, Turkish Airlines. But not only Turkish Airlines, we have Pegasus, we have MNG. These airlines are also growing.
And also a fast-growing city.
Fast-growing city. I mean, there is now today we are talking about 15 million people living in the city, but with the suburbs, it's reaching up to 20 million.
And that's only the official number.
That's only the official number. And now the airport is congested, and still there are new aircrafts coming into the market, new travelers, new passengers, increased frequencies. We need the third airport as well. But the good thing is that while designing this new airport, they are not planning for today, they are not planning for 10 days, they are planning for another 30 years. So capacity building is very much important in our industry. All right, this is another thing. The other point is that logistics centers in Turkey. We are now 7 logistics centers under operation and another 13 which at the end of the day will reach to 20 logistics centers under construction.
Logistics center is comparable with a rail port in Germany, for example. Multimodal with warehousing operations.
Multimodal transportation, interoperability between the
Yeah.
shipping modes, the warehousing, added value services.
Railway
connections. We have a clear statement from our previous Minister for Transportation. He said, we will not name it as a logistics center unless there is a rail connection in it. So all our logistics centers will have rail connection. So if we summarize, all those big investments in Turkey are a necessity.
Oh, for sure.
It is not something that we are exaggerating. New ports, new terminals.
Privatization, liberalization.
We have gone through very important liberalization and privatization processes in Turkey. First, we have privatized our ports, seaports. We have now very well functioning with increased efficiency seaports all around Turkey, and new seaports are under construction. Take, for instance, in Marmara, the Asya port, which is already in operation, one of the largest in the area. Leading shipping lines already start calling, and the beauty of this port is that there is going to be a possibility to link to Southeast Europe, to Balkan Peninsula. So we are going to have increased number of vessels with larger capacities. So we are going to enjoy from scales of economy. This port will not only serve the Turkish economy but the region as well. Then we are going to have Chandarlı port in Aegean coast. That is going to be the world's 9th largest container port. It is because of the potential. Now we have gone through privatization protests for the airline industry as well. We used to have one airline, state airline, but we have now many successful private airline companies. Today we are talking about liberalization in railway systems. The law is in force now. We are now expecting the secondary laws to be announced and in place so that private sector will start operating on the rail infrastructure of Turkey. We are building new railway tracks. We are having some electrification processes, which is very important because diesel rail systems and electrified rail systems from the saving point of view are very important. We are electrification process in our railways. So altogether, we see a very much developing logistics.
A lot of things are going on in the Turkish logistics market. There is one special characteristic in your market. I always let the German professionals know that fact, which is that we see in the Turkish logistics market a lot of women in business.
Oh, yes.
Not only being responsible for human resource management, but being a CEO, Chief Financial Officer. We see the high share also in Romania, in Ukraine, in Italy, in Russia. What makes that special? In Germany, I can just let you know 6 companies where you really have women in top management positions in logistics.
This is Turkish touch.
Definitely.
This is Turkish. You know, the founder of modern Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, he has given all the rights to women in this country, and they are the very privileged people on earth that they got the voting rights first time in the history of the civilization, that the women in Turkey were the first to have the rights of voting. So that is in our DNA.
Yeah.
We are very much open that women is an important factor in our life, business life, our private lives and everything. And they are, I tell you, much more successful than men in logistics.
I can imagine. In this case, Turkey is a benchmark for other countries.
Definitely. I mean, they have to learn from us, and they have to employ women in their business. They will see that their productivity will increase, their performance will be better, and the quality of the job done will be much more better. And I am very proud that in our association as well, one of my vice president is a female.
Great thing. Turkey is very close linked to the European logistics market. The European logistics markets, however, by itself is characterized by a very heterogeneous educational level. For example, in Turkey we have a high degree of bachelor and master students in the logistics company, whereas in Germany or other countries we have a dual system or we have vocational training. How would you estimate the educational level here in the Turkish market? What are you offering, for example, as UTİKAD? And what kind of programs or maybe academies are in planning for Turkey in the next couple of years?
Now that we discovered the potential of Turkey in logistics, we understood that we have to really invest in education as well. Because until maybe 10 years ago, we were only learning this business by doing. We didn't have any...
Training on the job.
Training on the job. We didn't have any academical backgrounds. But then it has become kind of a fashion in the country that every city, every region is now trying to develop itself with logistics investments. But these are also requiring some fresh people from universities with a logistics background and knowledge. That was missing. And now we have over 100 educational institutes, universities, vocational schools, and etc. that are producing knowledgeable people for our industry. So this is a very healthy trend. But the content of the education is not at that level that we are expecting. We certainly need some improvement over there. And in our association, we are in close contact with almost every educational body, universities, vocational training schools, and etc., to upgrade, to bring them at a level that we are expecting. But on the other side, it is not just these discussions with them. As an association, we are conducting regular seminars in our association in different subjects, in logistics, in transportation, even to develop sales skills of the people working in our industry. And recently, we have come to the level that Turkish association, UTİKAD, is accredited by our World Federation, FIATA, to conduct FIATA vocational training courses. We have started now, we are now at the first month of this education. We have 26 students. At the end of the year, by June 2016, they will be qualified to have FIATA vocational training certificates, and they will be able to work in the logistics industry in any place in the world, because this is a worldwide accepted diploma. So from our association point of view, we are also doing whatever we have to do. And beside of this, we have 9 different books produced by our association together with the academic people from universities in different subjects in the logistics industry. Take it sea freight management, rail freight, warehouse management, everything that we have books.
Also in English, I guess, right?
Also English. Recently, one of our books, which is Global Logistics, now is in English, and we got real professional support while translating it from Turkish to English. We got a support from Harvard University, and now this book is for the use of especially the Caucasian countries, logistic countries, because we see a really big gap in that area with the knowledge. So it is kind of a support from our side with our capacities for the region.
Turgut Bey, let's stare an outlook for next year. What can we expect from UTİKAD and from the logistics sector of Turkey in 2016? What's coming next?
I think in 2016 we should be seeing much more development in intermodalization in Turkey. Now that we are going to have our new government, I think the liberalization in the rail freight segment will be in place, and we are going to see big investments. At the same time, this will bring us more and more intermodalization in our systems. 2016 will not be an easy year, this is for sure, because of particularly political problems in our region, which is kind of hindering our logistics activities in Middle East. That is going to be definitely a bottleneck for us, but we are expecting some increase in our trade with Europe. So this will very much affect our industry. But at the same time, we are going to have some sort of diversification and upgrades in the logistics industry itself. During this exhibition, I also noticed that our companies are now moving into some certain verticals, some certain segments, like healthcare and life sciences, automotive, textiles, FMCG, food stuff, and all that segments. So we are going to see much more professional and diversified, specialized companies.
It's the last day of Logitrans exhibition. What's your summary so far? With which kind of impressions are you go home afterwards?
Well, I see many of my friends, they joined this exhibition for 1 or 2 days, but I felt that I have to stay in here full 3 days because this place is really lively. There are lots of things to do. I see great participation.
Personal atmosphere.
Atmosphere is excellent. Perfect. I mean, this is a very well-designed, well-engineered exhibition
Professional,
area,
organized.
very professional. I mean, I have to thank to organizers, Messe München as well as ECHO, that they did an outstanding job, and the quality of the participation is very good. But what I hear the best from our members, from the attendees of this exhibition, that they start seeing their clients. It is not just transport or logistics companies who are visiting this exhibition, but their clients are
Industry
visiting.
clients.
This is a very positive sign. We see great number of participants from abroad. I think there are exhibitors from 22 different countries and there are visitors from 60 countries. This is a very positive sign. Foreigners are also having their eyes on this exhibition, but the most important thing is that our clients are in here. So that means more business development. This is actually why we are joining exhibitions.
Turgut Bey, çok teşekkür ederim. Thanks for joining our Chai Talk.
It's
and
a
hope to
pleasure
see
for
you
me.
next year here again on the chair.
I look forward to
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much.